By 1936, the Hungarian Royal Army was in a desperate spot. Their domestic project, the Straussler V-4, was a technical marvel on paper, but a manufacturing nightmare in reality. It was too expensive, too slow to build, and the military needed a fleet now. Naturally, they turned to Germany, but they were only willing to sell the Panzer I, which was already outdated. Enter the engineers at MÁVAG. They stopped trying to reinvent the wheel and looked towards Sweden's AB Landsverk. The Swedes had the L-60, a design that was revolutionary, but commercially somewhat unfinished. MÁVAG bought the license, but what they received was essentially a blueprint with some assembly required. The Hungarian team had to localize every single component, from the Swedish Scania Vabis engine to the optics, basically turning a foreign design into a national workhorse while the clock of European peace was ticking down. Once the tank entered production, a name was chosen, named after Miklós Toldi, a 14th century knight. The Toldi's greatest technical asset was its suspension. While the Germans were still perfecting the Panzer II's leaf springs, the Toldi utilized transverse torsion bars. This system uses the twisting properties of steel rods to absorb shock. In a Toldi, the suspension arms are attached to these rods, which run the width of the hull. The engineering team faced a critical choice: speed or survivability. To accelerate production, they abandoned the Swedish welded hull for riveted plates. While rivets allowed for faster assembly in Hungarian factories that lacked advanced welding equipment, it created a safety hazard. When an armor-piercing round hits a riveted plate, the kinetic energy can be sufficient to shear the internal heads of the rivets. These rivet pops turn into internal shrapnel, ricocheting inside the cramped cabin even if the shell doesn't fully penetrate. Then there was the armament. The original Swedish 20mm Madsen was replaced with the 20mm solo turn S18-100. This wasn't a cannon in a traditional sense, but a massive semi-automatic anti-tank rifle. The parallel machine gun was also replaced with a Hungarian-made Gebauer M34-37, however its magazine-fed nature meant the first Toldi I models required a bump on the turret roof just to fit the magazines. Using these weapons was a compromise, driven by the logistics department that insisted on standardization by using ammunition and weapons that were already in the Hungarian inventory. To understand why the Toldi stayed in service all the way until 1945, we have to look at how it evolved. It wasn't one tank, but a series of continuous upgrades. First version was the 38M Toldi I. This was the 8-unit learning curve, armed with the 20mm solo turn and the German Büssing Nag engine. The early units suffered from casting errors in the track links and cracks in the armor due to the lack of experience in working with modern armor plates in domestic Hungarian protection. The next version was the 38M Toldi II. This was the reliability king. 110 units produced with a Hungarian-made Ganz engine, which was a licensed Büssing Nag engine, and reinforced torsion springs. These were exceptionally reliable, capable of 7,000–8,000 km of operation with only minor factory repairs, far outlasting the early war Panzer III or the Soviet T-26. After this, they built the 42M Toldi IIA, which was the 1942 stopgap version. 80 Toldi IIs were retrofitted with a 40mm 37-42M gun and a larger turret to accommodate the recoil. The frontal armor was increased to 35mm, giving it a fighting chance against light Soviet armor vehicles. And finally, the 43M Toldi III. This was the final form. Only 12 were reportedly made. It featured a perforated Schürzen armor to disrupt shaped charges and an even thicker armor profile. Unfortunately, Allied bombing raids on Hungarian industrial centers effectively killed this variant before it could reach the front in numbers. Other than these versions, there were two more interesting experimental ones existed. The Toldi Páncélvadász, which is basically the Toldi Tank Hunter, which was a Toldi I hull with a German 7.5cm Pak-40 anti-tank gun with an open casemate, basically a Jagdpanzer I. Only one prototype made since the Germans did not deliver the guns that were ordered and paid for by Hungary. But my favorite is the Toldi II armed with heavy anti-tank rocket launchers. With its gun removed and the twin mount for 44M buzogányvető heavy anti-tank rocket launchers mounted on the rear of its turret, it could have been a capable tank hunter. One photograph is known to exist, so we know that at least one was made. By 1942, the Szabolcs Order of Battle changed the Toldi's life forever. They were removed from frontline spearhead companies and reorganized into 5 tank scout sections within medium tank companies. Imagine a misty morning somewhere on the Eastern Front in 1942. Hungarian cavalry division is moving through the tall grass. A Toldi II leads the way. Its R5A radio allows the commander to stay in constant contact with the Turan medium tanks miles behind. They spot a Soviet T-70 repositioning near a village. The Toldi commander doesn't engage head-on. He uses the tank's small profile to mask his movement behind a ridgeline. He radios the position, and while the Turans prepare to engage, the Toldi uses its speed to flank. It's a surgical style of warfare. Against the T-26 and BT-5, the Toldi was a predator. But the issue was that the Soviet Union was no longer fielding T-26s. The Toldi crews were increasingly finding themselves staring at the 76mm gun of a T-34, a weapon that could delete a Toldi from the map before the Hungarian crew could even range their 40mm gun. The tragic reality of the Toldi II isn't that it was a bad tank. Technically, it was one of the most reliable and mobile light tank of the early war. Its failure wasn't an engineering one. It was a failure of strategic doctrine. The Hungarian leadership starved for heavier armor, forced the Toldi into a battle tank role it was never designed for. They used a scout's blade to do a heavy's sledgehammer work. Even in 1944, a Toldi IIA, in theory, could still defeat 40% of Soviet armor, specifically the light T-70s, Su-76s and BA-64 scout cars, if handled with extreme tactical care. Today, the only survivors are held at the Kubinka Tank Museum in Russia. They stand as silent witnesses to an era where Hungarian engineers did the impossible. They built a modern, reliable armored force out of blueprints and rivets, only to watch it to be consumed by a war of attrition that didn't care about precision. The Toldi wasn't obsolete because of its engine or its gun. It was obsolete because the world it was built for, a world of light, mobile skirmishes, had been crushed by the industrial weight of the Eastern Front.